Welcome to the Cinefied Podcast, the show where we enlighten you on what film to watch next, whether it be playing in theaters or at home on your small screen. Today, we're talking about Luc Besson's Dracula. This is the 200th version of Dracula, it feels.
Probably.
And I'm not even kidding about the 200 part, because he's been in 200 plus iterations throughout the years. He's the most used literary character of all time. So I thought that was very interesting. So it really brings up the question, which we'll get to: does this movie need to exist? There you go. So I'm Connor. I'm joined today with Cassie and Josh. We are going to dive into our thoughts on the movie, whether they be still in our brain or not, because it seems like we all kind of forgot this movie right away. But first, the premise. When a 15th century prince denounces God after the loss of his wife, he inherits an eternal curse. He becomes Dracula, condemned to wander for centuries. He defies fate and death, guided by a single hope to be reunited with his lost love. I jumbled those words, but you got it. No need to repeat. So I'm going to start with Cassie. Oh, God. Just real quick. Well, I'll go first. My review, if you've not listened to us before or read anything on Cinefied.com, we basically rate things as a full popcorn, which is a must-see, a half popcorn, which is a maybe-see, and then a spilled or an empty, depending on how you look at it, which is a mistake. Do not even seek it out. I'm probably going to be the most vicious on this movie here. I don't know, but I really hated it. I would absolutely give it a spilled popcorn. I just did not have a good time watching it. It took me multiple times to get to all the way through it. I did have the luxury of watching it at home, not at the theater. I'm sure at the theater I would have chugged my way through it, but definitely at home it was a hard watch. I thought that Caleb Landry Jones, I thought was doing like a parody of Dracula. I hated his accent. I felt like he kind of was doing like an Adam Sandler Hotel Transylvania impression to me. Felt the most typical Transylvanian that you can put on the screen. Christoph Waltz, love the guy, love him in Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards. He's sleepwalking here. He's barely in the film. I thought at first he might be like Van Helsing. No, he's just a priest. He has no reason to be in this film.
He's still Van Helsing. Come on.
Yeah, he essentially is, yes.
He plays that character. It's like Nosferatu is Dracula. It's the same fucking thing. Change the name all you want.
You're right. You're very much right about that. I don't know if it was a rights issue or what, but just being like, he's a priest, and not whatever. But that's just the numerous things in this movie that irked me, and we'll dive more into them. But now, Cassie, what is your rating and your brief little, see if it's a rant like mine or not?
So I feel like I feel like it's halfway between a half and a spilled. I feel like star-wise, I know on Letterboxd I gave it a 2 out of 5, and I'm forgetting if we're considering that spilled or half on Cinefied.
Well, this is your personal opinion.
Okay.
On Cinefied, that would be a spilled. A 2.5. A 2.5 is like a maybe, and
the maybe. So yeah, I feel like
or maybe everything else is
it's like the higher end of a spilled popcorn. I don't know how else to say it, just because I feel like stylistically there are some things. It's really quite beautiful at times. It's really beautiful choreographed, and the blocking at times is really stunning. The costumes. So if you're looking at it holistically, and like there are elements that I respect, but it commits the cardinal sin of like, it's just so boring. Like, I agree. I paused it so many times, and I was like checking the time. I was like, is this over yet? Like so much was happening that was so intense, and yet I found myself really not being that intrigued by it or caring that much, which so I want to give it credit for having some good elements, but that said, am I gonna be like, tell anyone, oh, I watched the new Dracula, you should watch it? I'm not gonna do that. So I think I'm gonna say spilled.
Ooh, all right. I thought you were going to lean more maybe, but I'm glad we're together.
I don't think so. I've gone back and forth on it. Like I said, it's it's a higher end of spilled, but it's still spilled.
All right.
Okay.
Josh, what is your opinion or rant about this film?
So I wrote the review for Cinefied on this, and I gave it a maybe. It certainly feels like a spill the more I think about it, which is I remember almost nothing about this movie at all. It went in and out so quick. One of my favorite things to do when I write the reviews is to write it, fire it off to Connor, and then look at Rotten Tomatoes and go, all right, what did everybody else think? And it was fresh when I looked, and I was kind of shook by that. I liked the central performance as Dracula. I actually thought that was good. I liked the Danny Elfman score. I like Luc Besson. I'm big Fifth Element fan. Some of his early stuff is great, but he's a real hit and miss director. And this one kind of went in and out. And I think it really suffers from there being an incredible Dracula Robert Eggers movie, Nosferatu, 2 years ago.
Right.
And this cannot stand next to that at all.
Which is wild that it's been almost 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. It's like, it feels like it just came out.
Oh, what is time? Yeah. No, I found myself comparing the two as well, though. I have to admit. Yeah, I was like,
definitely the opening
better
act
one recently. Yeah.
And it's got the classic opening act. I mean, that's my big complaint with this is for half an hour or so, it's the classic Dracula Nosferatu story. He's in love with this woman. There's this great love. He loses. She dies during the war. He forsakes God, becomes an unholy beast. And then half an hour through, the movie starts to deviate. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are they going to do new and different? And then it just goes back to the same fucking thing again.
Yeah.
So there's no daring. It doesn't reinvent anything. And it's sort of a Dante's Peak, Volcano, Armageddon. What's the other asteroid movie that year? Thing where you go up against another movie that's exactly identical. And this is not the good one.
I know. And I was so excited when Christoph Waltz showed up, and then he was just gone.
100%.
And I was like, he's not.
And he's not good. He's not good in this.
I
He basically plays the Christoph Waltz character that he's played in everything from, Inglourious Bastards to Only Murders in the Building. He's just kind of, I love him, but he's kind of the same character in everything.
Yeah.
And that's, see, I will say, while I did say he is sleepwalking for this movie, I do think that there's spoilers starting now. You've gotten our opinions. So everything else from here, we're just going
Dracula dies.
Pretty much analyze everything here. But when Christoph Waltz is first kind of interrogating that vampire that's like pretty much like I don't know, moaning on the floor when she like gets a little bit of blood, like he's doing like that whole thing. It seemed like he was having a bit of fun with, like, that felt like he was kind of like into the character. But then after that, it's just like he disappears for a long time, and then when he comes back, it's just like, oh, I guess I have to fulfill my contract.
So it's not a fun movie. He could be having fun with it, but it sticks out because this movie isn't really fun.
No, that scene is very like off compared to everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like he's at his best when he's playing a character who's just inherently evil. Like, he's just so good at that. And I mean, he's not a bad guy. He's trying to get rid of vampires. Like, although
I will say that he is able to do like such a drastically different. If you look at Inglourious Bastards, where he's such a piece of shit, and then you look at Django Unchained, where he's like such like a nice and generous man that's looking out for Django and the good of, or trying to find the good in this world that he's living in. I mean, you do have like such a drastic shift. That's why he deserved the Oscars he got. But yeah, I mean, this is just not his best work by any means. I mean, he's
Oscars. Does he have more than one?
I thought he got two. Didn't you get one for both Inglourious and Django? So I might
got
be wrong.
it for Inglourious. I remember.
But
anyway.
Yeah, but Josh, since you are the Luc Besson expert here, most likely, because I am not, what was the one that he did that was like the planets on the fifth, whatever? it was like
Valerian in the City of 1,000 Planets.
Oh, yes. I remember that trailer. I remember the trailer. I never saw it, but I remember the trailer.
It's a abysmal. It's
Really?
so bad. I can't remember who's the lead male
It's
performance.
Dan something, who unfortunately
Dane, what's his name? Dane something.
Oh, it's
One of
Dane.
the
Dane.
Dane
Yes.
DeHaan?
yes,
Dane
Dane
DeHaan. Yeah.
Oh,
It is
okay.
one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a big budget movie. It is
Wow.
abysmally bad.
Oh my god.
I will say
Yeah.
though, his performance is like far superior and elevated in that film versus Cara Delevingne. Like she.
Oh, I
is
thought she was
such
way
an
better.
awful-
Really?
We're totally different.
Funny.
But
I
only
thought
thing
he
I
could
like her
not have
is
been
like Paper
better.
Towns. But I'm trying to
Yeah,
look up
yeah,
Christoph Waltz. But the reason why I bring up that movie is because the awful, and I'm going to say awful a lot because that is my opinion of a lot of this movie, awful CGI of the gargoyle creatures.
Oh my
that,
god,
like,
the gargoyles! What the
Which-
fuck was that?
Oh.
have either of you read the book? I've not read the book. So are those in the
No.
book? Do we know?
I won't now. That's
I actually I thought I looked that up and they weren't, but what a
That's-
weird choice. Like I remember the first time they came on, and I kind of thought, okay, this could be kind of creepy if they use it in the right way because
right.
it's unsettling at first, and then it just got silly.
Yeah,
He
that's where
did-
it's kind of that's where it really sort of
Sorry.
took a turn for me because I
Yeah.
feel like I was maybe a little on board the first third of the movie, and then those guys showed
Yeah.
up, and I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, here we go, and then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I
So
was not
it-
on board from the opening like, with the pillow fight and the like. I understand that he has
Pillow
like,
fight was weird.
yeah, where he has this whole thing with his bride or mistress or whoever she is at that time.
It's his
You know,
wife.
really, it's his wife. Okay, but I'm just like, I just so it's like they pillow fight. They shove cake in their faces or some kind of dessert, like smears it across like their face.
Just a
It's such a
typical.
weird.
It's a typical.
I took that as,
Saturday
like,
night,
medieval
Connor. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it
opulent.
later.
Yeah, I took that as like a medieval opulence, royalty, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Let them eat cake. They have so much fucking money and they're
literally.
so spoiled.
Yeah,
And
bit on the nose, but
yeah. My favorite thing about the movie was his suit of armor. I thought the suit of armor he had looked cool as shit, and it was kind of downhill from there.
For like a moment.
Yeah.
He's not in it
Oh,
very
that's
often.
cool design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yikes.
and then
And we're done. Thanks, everybody. That's all I
Yeah.
got to say. About
No, I mean, I feel like the best way for me to kind of say it, and I think we were saying before our retention of the movie is not good. And I think that's because this movie felt like a bunch of different scenes put together as opposed to
Yeah.
like one cohesive film. Because I can think of a few, there's one that's like very choreographed in like a church with a bunch
Yes.
of people, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what's going on, but it's beautiful. And then but I don't know how it relates to the rest of the story, and
Right.
yeah, it's just confusing.
there's
Yeah,
a
that
few
was-
moments that go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
That's the part that really stuck out for me because I'm watching this really traditional Dracula adaptation
Mhm.
that I've seen before. And then there's a kind of choreographed almost dance scene. And I'm going, all right,
yeah,
we're going to do something with this. And then, no,
Right.
we're not going to do anything with that.
yeah, I agree. It almost looked
Yeah,
like
they-
Testament of Anne Lee for a moment there. I was like, are they going to sing? Like, what's going on?
It did
Dracula
fully
musical.
feel like that, and I was just like, I'm not on board to see anything Anne Lee again. But but I did find out that Christoph did win both Oscars for Django and Inglourious Basterds.
Okay.
So he has two.
Oh, cool. I totally forgot he won a second one.
But my favorite scene, which also feels very detached, but much less detached than what you're describing of that dance number, which feels. I mean, I get he has to like drain blood to get young, so he can go and approach his wife that he thinks is still alive, which I want to get into that too. But
Yeah. Please explain it to me.
that's what I'm going to ask that same question. But when he continuously tries to kill himself by falling out the window, I thought that was a good like montage of him. Like I thought that was a great
That
shot
felt like
of like out
Groundhog
of the
Day to
castle,
me. I'm
and
like,
you saw
are
him
we
like
watching
keep
Bill
falling.
Murray's Groundhog Day, or is this Happy Death Day? He's
Yeah.
going to wake up and try and figure out who killed him every day? Because I'm game for that.
Yeah, it's an option. It'd be better than what we got. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, was there similar to that, was there a moment that like stood out to you? Like, Cassie, would you say the moment you described of the dancing like was the most intriguing scene, even though it didn't really flow?
Yeah. Yeah, some of the choreography, the cinematography, there's sort of like a big party or like a ball towards the beginning with lots of beautiful dresses and stuff like that. And that's where I was like, okay, like there's something here, it's not completely tragic, but just not enough. And
the ballroom scene also seemed very, very odd because if I remember it correctly, that it's like they show all the men in the room kind of like shoveling food into their faces and stuff, and it kind of like made it seem like Dracula was looking at kind of like their kind of gluttony in their greed of having these women, and then it was like, well, I'm going to take all of them. Kind of like that's kind of like how it felt in that moment. I don't know. I'm sure Luc Besson had a reason for whatever the hell he did.
Yeah.
Isn't that the metaphor for vampirism? It's sort of, I'm trying to think, like, supposedly all the basic classic monsters have basic metaphors that they represent or symbols. Frankenstein is science versus God. Zombies are consumerism.
Oh.
So supposedly all the basic archetypes.
To me, I thought that vampires, they've always seemed really like inherently like sexual to me, like very the most sexualized of all the monsters.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that there's a big flaw with this film is that they don't sparkle.
Just one.
So, but
only we could CGI that.
So here's some questions that I'm going to kind of throw out and see if you all kind of have an idea of what was going on, and then we'll end with the most glaring question. But first off, like the woman that gets the little bit of blood, and then so they can drain their victims, but they don't have to turn to vampires, because the guy that she ultimately seduced and then bit and then drained, they say that he's in like critical condition, but he's still alive. He's not a vampire.
The classic vampire thing is you have to be bitten and then you have to feed off the vampire in order to turn. Oh, so vampire can
just
drain
kill
someone
you
repeatedly. Yeah, or they can keep you around and just slowly drink from you, but unless you feed from them, then you don't turn. That's the classic. Come on, Connor, you know Vampire Lord.
Didn't you?
I'm sorry. I just watched Twilight last year. I'm very behind. So.
Everyone, stop this and go watch Buffy.
Yeah.
No, I did have the inkling after watching this. I was like, I kind of want to watch 30 Days a Night. So, which I haven't watched in years, but I remember that being brutal. But okay, and then they showcase like that they're able to be in light but also not be in light. Like I feel like Dracula
they explained that
in light. Like
they actually had a line of dialogue about that in the beginning, contrary to popular belief. They can be in light, but it's direct rays, they said. So there was a line of dialogue about that. I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
I'm shocked at myself right now.
And then it's like Dracula is so angry at this I guess priest, at this
he's mad at God.
Yeah,
because
he's mad at God, but he's mad at the whoever the guy, the religious man that he comes to and says, you have to tell God that you have to keep her alive. But I'm like, it's not God's fault that you decided to throw a whatever directly through the guy when you could have just probably ran up to him and grabbed him. Like, there's no reason to chuck a spike or a pole or whatever.
He's got a flair for the dramatic. Whatever.
Yeah, it's more cinematic that way.
Well, then that brings up, like, he's crying about his wife being killed. She's buried. He even, like, waits for her, which was also a nice shot, like, of, like, the time passing. And he's like, I gotta move on, sort of. And then he, like, runs out of, like, patience and then opens her casket and she's, like, still there, right? Like, wasn't her, like, skeleton there? Like, she's not, like... Because that's what makes him mad, is because it's bones. So then how is she alive? Like, it makes no sense. So
That's
See,
in
I
the
was
class.
thinking.
That's from the book, though.
Oh.
Is there being bones and then her still being alive somewhere else?
No, she's sort of like reincarnated hundreds of years later, and
Okay,
that's
yeah, that was what I was
what
wondering.
he finds.
Okay.
Because at first I thought it was just a woman who really looked exactly like her, and then I was like, oh no, but she has her memories.
Right.
So
Yeah.
no, I need to
Well,
read up
that's-
on Dracula clearly. But
That is
also,
what
it
I
was
thought at
very hard
first.
to-
I thought it was the someone that looked like her, and then
Mhm.
and then it's just like, why? But now she's remembering, and she's like being seduced by Dracula because she's remembering all the good times they had.
That's why I felt weird, because I was like, how much of this is I don't understand the movie, and how much is I just don't know the original story of Dracula? Like I wasn't sure how much.
He should have just
how many
he should have
liberties
just
they
pushed
took.
cake in her face, and then she would have gone, "Oh, I remember
Oh.
you now."
Yeah, no, and that might be the case, is that I'm just not as like affiliated with Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Like I have not seen the Francis Ford Coppola version. I've only seen like the Nosferatu.
You've
the
never
original
seen the
Nosferatu.
Coppola version?
No,
It's good.
that's not similar to what I said off camera about Fifth Element. I also have a copy of Dracula downstairs, but I've yet to watch it.
That's on my Halloween list. We watch that every Halloween, every October.
Oh,
That's one of like the 30 movies in 30 days we always watch.
cool.
Well, I've heard what's funny is I've always heard like the two things about that movie. One, Keanu Reeves, and then the other
Terrible.
and the other one is that the makeup is too much on
Oh, no.
Gary Oldman.
No, I think it looks great. And
but
Gary Oldman,
that's-
it could not be better.
Well, I love Gary Oldman, and
Yeah.
I've always heard like mixed things about the makeup. And then you look at this iteration of Dracula, and it looks like Halloween makeup. Like when he's older, drained, to me, like that looked awful. That looked caked on. Do you guys agree? Like they should.
I think I said out loud to myself, like, oh, because she's like, like sort of like laying over him, like, darling. And it's like, okay, like you don't look a day over 350. You look great. Like what? Before he turns to dust. I just yeah. No, I agree. It wasn't the best. But I guess when you're 400, you're not gonna look that good.
Yeah. I won't do the Yoda voice. When 900 years old you preach, look this good you will not.
But was there anything else about this film that like stood out to you that you have questions about, or that
So many questions
that you strongly
all the
disliked
questions
or liked about this film? Because I agree that like cinematography is fantastic, but
and the music
there's
was
not
really
enough.
good. I loved the music. Ugh. That's what sucks, is it's like had the bones of a really good film, but then it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if you're a Dracula completist, if you're a vampire movie fan, you got to watch this just to check off the list. And there's some, it's watchable, but it's dumb, and it's not ambitious at all. It doesn't go anywhere new, even though it slightly skews away from the traditional, plot line. It goes right back to it.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me is obviously if you're watching the video version, or if not, I can just say that this film was retitled. It was called Dracula, a love story, and now it's just called Dracula. And so they were definitely pointing in on that this is a romance with, and I did not feel a connection at all with Dracula or Caleb Landry Jones. And I unfortunately don't have the actress's name that played his wife, but I just did not feel anything regarding them. Zoe Blue, did you feel any connection between them? I felt like they were just strangers that all of a sudden
reminded me of Imogen Poots a little bit. I was like, oh, didn't she kind of look like her? But no, you were right about the accent, Connor. I forgot to say, I was like, this is giving Sesame Street a little bit. This is giving Let's Count to 10.
They would too.
But I liked her. Not necessarily.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I thought she was a good
She
actress.
reminded me of shoot, I'm really bad at names right now, but Emily in Paris. She reminded me of her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lily Collins.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what she reminded me of. But I was just like, there's just not enough connection here.
Yeah.
And while I'm sure this is the direction that Luc Besson gave to Caleb Landry-Jones and to Zoe Blue, I just felt like it didn't work. So I mean, he's like you said, Cassie, the bones are here for the movie, but they don't have enough to build the whole body. Like all of it's just like it's a Frankenstein of awful.
It's Dracula, Connor. This one's called Dracula.
You're right. My bad. But I'd much rather watch Nosferatu. So I do kind of want to, unless you guys have a final thoughts about this film, I feel like we're going to kind of dial it down. I feel like we don't have too much more to say, but
because we don't
Josh,
remember anything else that happened.
Yeah,
I feel like even if we did, we probably wouldn't have much to say. But
yeah,
Josh, do you have any final thoughts?
The Coppola Dracula is a much better version, I think. Gorgeously costumed. Gary Oldman's great. Lots of parts of that are dumb too, but that's a much better made film. You've got a much better director. Luc Besson is just, when he's doing something like Fifth Element, it's wholly original and not kind of based on anything. It can be interesting. The Professional was fantastic. The Professional is an amazing film. We got Natalie Portman. That was her first role. She's outstanding in that. Gary Oldman's incredible in that. If no one's seen that, I highly recommend The Professional. And I love the Fifth Element, but those movies have something to say, and this just seemed like you said, Connor, the 200th Dracula adaptation.
Cassie, any final thoughts?
I mean, I think just go watch Nosferatu again instead of watching this. Honestly, yeah, that's my final thought.
I did while you were talking, Josh, I did remember a moment that I thought was so bizarre and kind of funny, and then it just led to nothing in this movie. And it's where they go, Christoph Waltz and his partner person goes and tries to rescue the one guy from his wife who was the one that was moaning at the beginning, and they chop off her head, and it flies and hits the guy, and he just like becomes unconscious, and then that has nothing. It's like, why did they show it? The head like
we gonna revisit
and,
that?
Like,
No, okay.
No, nope.
Never mind.
So, there's I think that there's good here, but there's just not enough to really like warrant a watch. I don't think that there's I think you can see glimpses of this. Like, I'm sure clips will be released. Like, I think the scene of him falling out the castle multiple times was a pretty shot. I think that's but I just don't think that beyond like Danny Elfman's score, this is anything worth watching, especially if you've seen any other iteration. Like I said, I'm not the most like fulfilled person when it comes to watching Draculas. Like I'm not there educated when it comes to that. But as far as like, I've seen Nosferatu. I love Nosferatu.
Have you seen the Werner Herzog version of that from the 70s?
No, I've not.
That's incredible, and it's really fucking creepy if you want an actual scary one.
I mean, the very first one is... I've seen that one.
Oh, totally.
From what, like 1920 or something like that?
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh my God, so creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of great versions. This is not one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
I also thought that Luc Besson, to me, like, for some reason, and I might be completely off about this, but didn't he produce Taken? Because I felt like that was always
I don't know.
I felt like that was always like my thing was like, I always thought that he directed Taken for a long time, and then a movie came out that was like from the director of Taken. And I was like, Luc Besson, and so I don't know. So I always thought with like he did action movies. So then like for a long time I was like disappointed. Like this one, I'm like, this is not an action movie. He's doing a terrible job. So but. Yeah, I think that pretty much ends it. I feel like we should just go around and just say who our favorite vampire is in cinematic history, if you can come up with one. I don't want to say Edward.
I fucking dare you.
You know, he's pretty great though.
You should say Jacob just to be funny because he's a werewolf.
I guess the grandpa from the Munsters.
Nice.
I used to like that show.
You could say Count Chocula.
Count Chocula.
Completely valid.
I am going to go with Edward Cullen. I've gone through a lot with him over the last year. I watched all 4 of his movies, so I think I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind, riding Spider Monkey with him. Whatever. So, but,
glistening all right, in the sunshine with him.
You know what? That sounds like a great day. But that's going to conclude our Dracula review. Thank you for listening to the Cinefied Podcast. You can find us over at cinefied.com. That's where all of our written reviews are, including our review from Josh here for Dracula. So if you want a written version, you can feel free to check it out over there. You can also follow us on social media, including Letterboxd. We are trying to stay up to date this year. So if you don't want to check the site for some reason and you want to see what we think of a movie, you can go over there and see if we covered it. Other than that, make sure to go pop some popcorn, grab a drink, and remember, stay cinefied. Till next time. See ya.